What's up everyone? So today I alerted mRNA 1 hour before the market closed right here. Send a screenshot in our free trading chat room, and as soon as I alerted and it was about to break down, and right after I alerted, the stock broke down right here and it actually had a really nice move to downside. And since I was prepared, I took this trade and was able to make about $500 over $500 in just this nice pattern move. And basically all I did was, as soon as it broke out, I shorted the stock, and as soon as it started to come down, I started to take profits along the way and was able to book nice profit in just 15 minutes. Now, even though I alerted, a lot of people just couldn't take this trade, and the reason why, because there's so many moving parts to it. So I wanted to actually make a video and actually talk about how to trade a trend break pattern correctly. I'm going to talk about my whole thought process of this trade. I'm going to talk about the key things to look for to spot this trade in real time, so you can actually do this by yourself. And the whole planning of the trade, so entry, exit, and stop losses. And then at the end, if you want to access our chat room, I'll show you how to exactly do that. So let's get into this trade. This is the number one thing. So my thought process of this trade was, the number one thing, the first thing I look for every single trade is the overall trend of the trade. So if you notice here, mRNA was overall downtrending. So what I mean is that, notice here, this is today, okay, this is today, this is yesterday, and this is the day before yesterday. Okay, this whole day is day before yesterday, and day before. And notice here, the whole time the stock is actually downtrending. Okay, so what I can tell is that since the stock is downtrending, I'm not going to buy the stock. I'm actually going to short the stock, because there's a good chance of stock continuing down rather than going up. So, and this, by the way, comes up from the very basic rule, which is trend is your friend, right? We always say trend is your friend. That's what it means. If the trend is downward, you look for a continuation to the downward until you see signs of reversal. So always look at the bigger picture first. And the first thing I do is look at the bigger picture. What I do is actually I look at the daily chart or the 15-minute chart to look at the bigger picture, not the 1 minute, the 5-minute chart. Okay, so look at the bigger time frame. Once I have understood what the overall trend is, then I go to the 5-minute or the 1 minute or smaller time frame. So in this case, this is the 5-minute time frame chart, which is what happened today. So this is the overall action that happened in mRNA today, right? Now, in order to understand that, next thing what I do is I look for the time frame. A time frame is basically, that means it's the setup that I'm trying to trade is not setting up during a lunchtime. I want to make sure that I'm not trading during lunchtime. Now what that means is, in order to understand the lunchtime, you need to understand there are 3 different time sections during the day that the stock behaves differently in different time zones. So there are 3. Number 1 is morning session, the second is lunchtime, and the third is power hour. Now what that means is that during, you look at the morning session action. This is normally the first 2 hours of the day of the market open. And notice here how there's a very definitive trend downwards. But then the lunchtime, the stock is going up and down, up and down. There's like it's not really not moving much. And then in the power hour, the stock moves up again. So really the best 2 times to trade are, the best time is the morning session, which is the number 1. Then second is the power hour. And then you don't even want to trade the lunchtime. I don't trade the lunchtime, because in lunchtime, you don't get the best moves. Okay, so either you trade the morning session or you trade the power hour session, but not the lunchtime session. So I always look up, okay, I want to make sure that it's not a lunchtime. Once I have that, now next thing that I think about is the pattern has to be as clean as possible. What do I mean by that? Now notice here how this, if I draw these pivots, notice here how cleanly the line is drawn, right? It just matched perfectly. Everything just matched perfectly. And then what happened later? Here, once it broke down, it actually crashed, right? So it has to be as clean as possible. Why? The number one reason why it has to be clean as possible is because the cleaner the setup is, more and more people are able to recognize that setup. If more and more people are able to recognize the setup, more and more people are going to participate in that trade. The more people participate in the trade, the better the resolution will be. Okay, so that's as simple as that. So the next thing is the stock is in play. What I mean by stock is in play is that the stock has good volume that day, And the way you find out the stock is good in play, if it has lots of volume or if it's a very famous stock, right? In this case, mRNA, Moderna was a very famous stock. I mean, it's a vaccine stock. It's the #1 hot trending stock these days, right? So you want to know, or if it's actually a hot sector. Also, vaccine is actually a very hot sector. So mRNA was actually a stock in play. Now that you understand all of it, right? The whole idea, I just want to make sure you understand this. The whole idea is I want to make sure that the more and more people are watching it, the more and more. So I make sure that, hey, it's in a good time zone, which is the power hour. It actually has a good pattern. It is a hot sector and everything. Once all that things align, now let's look at the trade. Now it's gonna all make sense. So let's look at all the thought process, and then we're gonna apply to this trade. What was I thinking? The #1 thing was the overall trend. The overall trend was downtrending. We already looked at the longer time frame. It was overall downtrending. So now I know that the stock has a more chance of going down than going up. Then it's a clean setup. So clearly it was a very clean setup. You can clearly see, if I do this, you can see this nice triangle pattern forming. Okay. By the way, I have a free course on chart patterns in my Discord channel. I will tell you more about this later. And notice here, it's a very clean pattern. Okay, so the clean the pattern is, the more people are going to see, the more people are going to participate, just like I saw it, right? Then the next is stock in play. It's mRNA, the stock in play. By the way, I put Watchlist daily in my chat room. I'll post the link down below. It's absolutely free. And then it's setting up in power hour, not in lunchtime. So it was not during a lunchtime. So if it was happening around this area, I would have not, because this is a lunchtime. Okay, and this is a morning time, and this is a power hour. So it was clearly forming in the power hour. That's why I was interested in it. So it was a perfect setup. So everything, all the stars aligned. Now, even though all the stars aligned, the next part is the main part, which is where you plan your trade. So what was my thought process when I was planning the trade? So the #1 thing that I did was first find out the pattern. Once I had the pattern, I shorted the stock right here, because my whole goal was, if it breaks the pattern, it's going to continue down, because then the trend is broken, it's going to further continue down. Okay, so I shorted the stock right here. Now notice here, if you notice here closely, this is I did not short on this candle. I shorted on this candle. Okay, I shorted on this candle. Look at here, the arrow. The reason why, because once it closed, the candle closed below the trend, and it tested and it proved, hey, you know what, this trend is now acting as resistance. That's when I shorted. Okay, so I shorted on this candle, because once it proved, hey, this trend is now acting as resistance. And that's it. So once I did that, now my next thing is not where I'm going to take profits. Next thing is where I'm going to stop out or take a loss if the trade doesn't work my way. So my stop loss is up here. Normally what I do is, let's say if it breaks, I want to see it hold the trend on the opposite side and continue down. But sometimes it does come up. If it does, I reduce my position to half, because clearly it's not doing what I thought. If it breaks above the trend now, right, if it comes up here, I'm going to reduce my position, and then I will stop out final up if it breaks its resistance level. So this is my risk. Okay, I'm risking about this much. And I'm profit targeting this much. Once I shorted here, this is my stop loss. Now I'm going to look for my targets. So what I do for my targets, I look for support levels. So if you look here, the support level was, notice here, there was this so this is the support level. Okay, this was the support level, and then this was the support level right here. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm taking profit support level. So I take some profits, support, first support, and then I hold. Once it breaks, I take some more, then I take some more profit support, and that's what I did. I started to take profits along the way. And that's how I was able to decide my profit targets, decide my stop loss, and find a good strategy, get a good entry which is closer to trend line, and that's how you're able to make profit consistently. All right, guys, so now let's talk about I hope you guys learned. Let's talk about this. Like I promised, how can you join my chat room? And the way you do that is actually I post watch list of my hot stocks every morning, by the way, for free. Here in the daily watch list, I'll put the link down below. And then I also have free chart patterns course. There's a complete trading course right here in my chat room. It's completely free. And also the chat room, if you want to learn more about chart patterns, it's a class number 3 right here. Okay, so you just go to chart patterns and you will see all the chart patterns that you want to see. Also, the alerts that I put in, or the chat room, if you have any questions, I put in the chat alert section. Now, all I ask in return, if you like and subscribe and comment down below if you found this video helpful. And the Discord link is in the description below. Come say hi. And by the way, if you want to learn more about the trend break strategy, there's a complete channel of trend break where I've posted detailed videos on trend breaks. All right, guys. Hope you guys learned something new. I'll take care. I'll see you guys in the chat. Take care.